I don't think he has an issue.
I'm sure. Speaking of the gays, you guys need to check out this Jeffrey Dahmer show, bro. This shit is good, man. I'm telling you.
Man.
It's dark, though.
Yeah.
You got to be ready to watch something dark if you're going to watch this show. But, like, it really takes you into the psychology of somebody who did this shit. It's, like, sickening. You really have to honestly have, like, a good tolerance to watch this kind of shit. Like,
Yeah.
of course, it's a TV show, so they're not showing actual people being killed, but
it's true stories.
it's true stories, man. You feel for like the guys who've been killed and like their families and shit. You just feel so bad for them, and the way that it was all done is just so horrific. Like he would like go to these like clubs, usually like gay clubs, or pretty much always gay clubs.
Yeah.
And he would only pick up like minorities. He would never pick up like white dudes. He'd always pick up like minority dudes, like black dudes, Native American, Mexican, Asian, right? And then he would like, chat with them at the fucking gay bar, hit them up, spit some game and shit. And then
I heard the game was whack.
his game was whack. He's just it's fucking little Midwestern boy.
Hey, you want to come over and...
Yeah, it's exactly how he fucking sounds, little Midwestern boy. He'd spit his whack-ass game, and then he'd take them home to his apartment, and then he'd be like, oh, you want a drink? And he'd fucking make them like whiskey and Coke, and then he'd put like a bunch of he'd roofie them basically, right? Roofie them to where they can't even move. So then he'd roofie them, and while they were roofied, he would strangle them to death. And then after that, he would like fillet their flesh, and he would do experiments on them. He would like drill into their head and put hydrochloric acid in their head and shit. And he would like cut off their head and put it in his fridge. He would like dissolve their bodies in like vats of acid. He would cook them. He cooked some of them and he ate some of them.
Yeah, I'm good on that one.
That shit's crazy.
Absolutely
and he got away
horrifying.
with it because when the cops would show up, he would just be like, we're doing gay stuff.
Yeah.
We're just doing gay stuff, and the cops would just feel uncomfortable and leave.
Pretty much. Dude, and he was doing this all in an apartment, bro.
And his next-door neighbor said it smelled like shit.
Dude, in real life...
But they couldn't get his ass, bro.
Like in the show, they show the neighbor calling the cops, and it seems like she did it once. But apparently in real life, because he lived next to like an old black lady, this lady called the cops so many times.
Yeah, I believe it.
She called the cops a bunch of times, and they never listened to her. She said, like, hey, I don't know, something's going on over there. It smells. There's really loud noises. People are arguing. Like, something's going on. She kept calling. They never fucking came.
I mean, honestly, man, from a serial killer standpoint, like, he made the right choices, bro. Killing minorities, gay minorities at that time, bro. Like,
they didn't give a fuck.
They didn't give a fuck about them. So nobody's going to really go looking hard for him. You know what I mean? So, like, he could get away with a lot of things.
And when he
got
got caught,
missing.
When he got caught, the cops asked him, like, asked him, like, why he did it and shit. And he pretty much told them everything. Like, he didn't lie. He just told them, he could have lied, but he told them, like, everything that he did. He, like, just told them straight up, like, this is why I did it. This is when I did it. Like, he just told them, right? Mm-hmm. And they asked him, I think one cop eventually asked him, why did you target these people? And he said exactly what Omar said, because they don't give a shit about them. Because society at large at that time doesn't give a shit about these people.
So this guy was just trying to get any human and just start drilling in their fucking head.
Yeah, I think so. Well, like,
flesh.
what the show shows you is that he was like super lonely. He didn't have any friends, and he was a gay dude. So like he was gay, and he liked.
Oh, so
other
he was
dudes.
actually gay.
He was actually gay.
Oh, okay.
And he liked other dudes, and like apparently at one time he was able to pick up other dudes, and like he had guys who liked him, who wanted to like date him and shit, right? But every time they'd get like serious or like want to come over and like do some shit, like he'd always want to drug them and then do the other shit. And I think it's because
Jesus fucking
he
Christ, dude, what a sick motherfucker.
He was obsessed with control. Like he liked having complete control. Like even if he was able to fuck somebody, he said he didn't like them moving. Like he didn't like them like being able to be like present. So he liked them being like completely in his control, completely out of their own control. He liked drugging them and being able to do whatever he wanted to their bodies.
Bro, these are sick people. Like to think things like that.
Yeah.
To want like complete control over somebody like that, for them to not move and shit.
I just don't get the
That's
point
crazy,
of
man.
making a show about it.
What you mean?
I just feel bad for the victims, bro. And the victims even spoke out and were like, "Hey, don't watch this shit. Like,
But
don't
even
support
that,
it."
right? To make something entertaining is like you have to paint him a certain way to make people watch it.
Yeah.
Because if you just make him like straight up evil, like, you know what I mean? Like
That's
it
what
wouldn't
he
be
is
an
now.
entertaining watch.
That's what it is now, but it's real. It's like, but people like that shit, which is crazy.
Which is the fucking
It
problem.
is.
But and then if you go on the other side, then you got Zac Efron as Ted Bundy, and then everyone fucking hates it, and they're like, "This guy."
I don't think they should be making movies about any of these motherfuckers.
You don't
like
think so?
realistic
Not at
movies,
all.
Do you
bro.
think- do you
it's-
think-
Not like real factual based movies off of
yeah,
that.
Do you
about
think-
actual people?
Do you think it's
Yeah.
because it glamorizes that, or why do you think they shouldn't make movies?
I think it's like there's no net positive about
It's
making it.
disrespectful, kind of.
Even if it's imagine walking away from it and being like, "Yo, that Jeffrey Dahmer show was really good."
Yeah.
No, man, I
That's
disagree.
crazy.
I disagree.
no,
bro. I like being able to watch that. It's especially when the show is well made. Like if it was corny, then no, fuck that. But the show is well made in terms of like the writing and the pacing and like the acting. The guy's performance is really great.
It's just the way. It's just I know the way that you have to write it. Like you have to give something positive or redeeming about him. And that's why it's like I don't want to even.
You haven't watched it. There's nothing
Yeah.
redeeming.
I saw the
that.
first episode, bro. Yeah,
There's-
it's extremely dark.
There's no aspects of
very
the show.
creepy. Like
I'm not saying they're going to pay him in a
Low
good light. I'm saying like
xylophone
they're going to
music.
find like something. No xylophone.
it's not. There's no cheeriness to it at all. Like it ends very very dark.
Oh, then I don't want to watch that shit.
Yeah, it's
very dark.
It's a very dark show, and I only
And
saw
that's
the
crazy
first
that they're putting
episode.
all their money behind this fucking dark ass project.
It's because people like
But
that.
People
shit.
like the dark shit,
Hey, listen,
man.
I must admit, it was a good show. I didn't. I was falling asleep kind of
Yeah,
in the first
usually I don't-
episode, but it was a good show.
Usually I don't like shit like that or like true crime shit. I don't like shit like that. But then I watched this and I was like, I'm getting into this.
because it's not a dude narrating it. It's like, and he did this, and they did that, and
Yeah,
it's like,
that's
yeah,
just
that's
corny.
fun sometimes, but to really watch, like, really care about, I don't. I'll just toss on Forensic Files or something, you know. But like making it into a show, a creepy show, like, let's pretend that these weren't real people and this was all just fiction. And they're writing this show about these names they came up with.
Yeah.
It's a good fucking show.
that would be,
I'd be
that'd
fine
be
with
compelling
that.
as
It's a
hell.
great
man.
great show.
It
I
would
must
be.
admit, but I've only seen the first episode, and I could already tell it's going to be really good.
I do agree that it is somewhat disrespectful to the dead people though. Like
Yeah.
like as like you start to get into the show, like I think the show tries to like, paint the victims somewhat positively, but
But they end up dead. So
You
it's
can't.
like
Yeah, man. There's
You
no way to
can't,
do
yeah.
that. It's impossible.
And you're showing their final hours, bro, and
Yeah.
like
Sad,
showing what he's
man.
doing to their bodies and shit. And like imagine being one of the family members and you hear the story about how Jeffrey Dahmer fucking drilled a hole in your kid's head and your son's head.
yeah,
And then like fucking
bro.
how long ago was that? Like 30 years ago?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's-
Imagine
yeah.
30 years later they make a goddamn hit show on Netflix or whatever it's on.
Imagine like you're
Him
one of like
doing
the
it.
family members, right? And like somebody watches the show and they're like, "Wow, like that's how your uncle died," or like that's how your cousin died. It's like, bro, what the fuck?
Or imagine that's your family
Jesus.
member and someone at work doesn't know that and they're just like, "Have you seen
Bro.
Dahmer? That shit was crazy."
Have you
right?
seen Dahmer? That shit's crazy. He fucked this one deaf boy and then he fucking killed him.
That's my
crazy,
nephew,
bro.
dude. That's my fucking nephew, man. Yeah, that's crazy, dude. But people like that shit, dude.
People
That
eat
stuff
it
is
up,
not
man.
slowing down. It's not like that was a fad. People are.
No, people are loving
I
it.
think
It's
it's-
growing,
and
like,
like-
the horror, but not horror fan, like true crime.
The true crime
lovers.
shit. I mean, I think it's growing, but I think it's always been popular in this country.
I mean, Forensic
And, like-
Files is like on season 80.
Yeah,
dude.
Forensic
Yeah.
Files, man.
Yeah.
See, Forensic Files, all the podcasts and shit, like they've been extremely popular. And like,
But I think it's like now it's at a point where it's branched out and it's like really multiple different shows that you can watch.